It's gorgeous.
Yo, okay. Here we are. Nothing but anarchy. We have Kendra Austin here. You can just talk. Throughout this whole thing, you can just
Okay, gorgeous. I can just talk my shit.
yeah.
That's what I do best.
That's what you're here for.
Thank you for having me.
I had a feeling that was what you did best. Kendra Austin. Her name has been. Oh, am I still in the shot, Josh? Okay. Every time I look at your name in my phone, I'm like, wait, is this her last name or is this where she's from?
It's both. Both
That's crazy.
Well, it's not exactly like kismet. I chose the school that I went to, the University of Texas, Hook'em. I chose the school because of my last name, almost exclusively.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's on brand.
Completely. I'm an OG Crystal bitch. Like, it just felt like a sign. They gave me the greatest opportunity, and it was the school that was farthest away. And then also it had my name. I was like, I'm supposed to be there.
But where were you born?
Right. So I was born and raised in San Diego. I was a military brat, and then kind of had a single mom that was a traveling professional, a very coming of age story where I'm we're cruising through Dust Bowls and I'm listening to her drama, you know? So we were pretty transient growing up. So I've lived in Chicago, Vegas, here and there. And then I graduated high school in a suburb of DC in Northern Virginia. DMV. We're both from the DMV.
That's a fact. And everybody that comes on here by accident is from the
DMV. Completely. Niggas be from the DMV.
A ton of niggas are from the DMV. That's a fact. If you go to any HBCU, any major city, you will find that a ton of niggas are from the DMV. So there's so much that I want to talk to you about. I think I have you here for 2 hours, if that's not
Let's do it.
a lie. Okay. First, I want to set up by saying a few things. So give me a second. I'll get to basketball later. I changed my mind. So one thing I love about this show is that I still own it. So we get to do whatever we want.
I love it.
It's fun. And I really wanted to have you. We met out front of Bedvine.
And I literally came up to you and I was like, I love your work.
Thank you. That was fire.
And I think I've heard your name.
I was very flattered. I was honestly, I probably tried to play it cool, but I was very flattered. And we were standing out there with a ton of niggas, probably there's probably 150 people standing out in front of Bedvine. And we had a long conversation. And at some point in the conversation, I think I threw out to you oh man, would you want to come on this show that I'm making, blah, blah, blah. And it took 2 years to get here, but here we are.
I can't believe it. Almost to the day, actually. I think that was July 4th.
Oh, wow.
I think that was the weekend of July 4th.
Almost to the... But the reason lately that it came to mind is that this show is about anarchy. It's about
just
chaos.
Fucking shit up.
Yeah, and not even... I don't want it to be too nebulous. It's really about upending the stuff that we care about to recreate it how we want it.
Yeah, transmutation.
Transmutation, is that what that is?
Yeah, in spirituality, there's this concept where energy, well, I guess that's also just physiologically true, but energy can't be destroyed. It's just redistributed into a different form by intention.
Oh, I like that. That reminds me of some shit that I probably didn't make up, but gleaned from other people's stuff that I like to say sometimes, which is the only real laws are the laws of physics.
Yes.
And everything else is built on top of those laws. It's and to be super reductive about it, it's just the laws have to be enforced by whoever has the most explosive matter at their hands.
Right, absolutely.
Who's got the gun, who's got the forces, who's got whatever, or who has the cosmic forces behind them, basically. Anyway.
I love that.
So what I find interesting about you, there are many things. So I'm going to try to get at all of them, but you have there's something about you that is I don't know if the word is edgy, provocative,
Get some people going,
anti-societal,
right?
But you're also super graceful, right? Your skin is popping.
Thank you.
You always look great.
Thank you.
But you also I don't know, I've never had a bad vibe moment with you before.
Thank you so much.
So
I cherish that.
How you do that?
Well, I think I always talk about what's of somebody's constitution.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the greatest ingredients to my constitution is courage. And that's been true since the day I was born.
Talk about it. How'd you get that?
I feel in many ways like I kind of grew up a little bit emotionally isolated. Like I was biracial before niggas was biracial. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't grow up with a lot of like other biracial kids, and I had a single parent, and I also just like was really dreamy as a kid. So I spent a lot of time by myself and defining myself for myself. And at the same time, I mentioned earlier, like I was pretty transient. So we were moving around a lot. I moved to many different schools by the time I was a teenager. And I became really adept at deciding who I was and just sticking to that and kind of seeing what sticks, like what hits for people, what makes other people comfortable. And in that experience, I also realized what made me uncomfortable.
Which is what?
Conforming, complacency, and silence. And those are all three of those things are the exact opposite of courage.
Your own silence or just silence in a room?
My own silence.
Okay.
Yeah, my own silence. And then also like communal silence. Like I think since a very, very young age, I had this like extreme sense of justice. Like I was like the kid in the playground that would always befriend the one kid that nobody wanted to be around because I wanted to know why they didn't want to be around them. And I wanted to know how somebody at such a young age could have that kind of like label placed on them as like a have not or like a nothing. And that really disturbed me. Like I'm talking as early as like 3 and 4 years old. And I remember those moments. Like those were like really deep seated memories for me. The idea of watching somebody be rejected.
So, and I want to talk about rejection. I also want to do my responsibility, which is to like properly set up who you are in terms of like titles and labels and stuff, which I don't even know how you feel about those things, but you're a writer, you're a content creator, you're a model, you are soon to be a cast member of a TV show. I don't know how much we can talk about that, but I saw marketing for that show recently. I was like, that's the show. But we don't have to talk about that. And you are, I think you're like you're also a community builder. I don't know if you're a tarot reader, but you are involved in the tarot space. We're going to get to that.
Spirituality in general.
Yeah. And just honestly, you're also, I see you as someone who primarily women, as I've seen it in Brooklyn, come up to and they're like, I love you so much. And that's what they say to you. They're like, I love you so much. They're not like, oh, I love that thing you did, or oh, I love that thing you whatever. They're like, I love you so much. So what's that about? Where does that come from?
Well, you know what? I hate the idea of a niche. And as somebody who, like I always said, like I want to be able to do everything in media. Whatever it means to create, I want to follow that. And I know you're really similar in that way. It's like whatever is kind of like brewing at your chest or like at your throat and it needs to come out, like you're going to follow that. And because of that, I've always resisted this idea of like doing one thing or trying to communicate my life's purpose or what it is that I feel like will make people feel better about who they are in one specific way. And I think in that way, I've kind of formed this image of just me. And that's what people associate me with is like, you are embodying something and that makes me feel good. And I've kind of just followed that flow. And I think being received that way and having so many of my audience members in whatever way that means, whether it's like through my like Substack or TikTok or whatever, having people come up to me and state that specifically is how I know that I'm doing my job, because I want them to view themselves in that way as well, where they're not like just pieces of work or like miscellaneous achievements or titles in response to someone or something else. I want them to feel like they're a person. Right. So for them to be like, I view you in that way, I'm like, I'm but a reflection of you, like a mirror of you in that way.
And it resonates because I see you doing it out there. So now I do want to, sorry, I'm jumping around the story, but I do want to go back because a part of the work that I think I have to do in this conversation journalistically, like what feels like my job is, if you are someone who is steeped in like modern urban culture, right, I think what you're talking about makes sense. I think for a lot of people who are of a different generation than ours, completely, who are of a different
in middle America, socioeconomic class.
Yeah, it's like I think these things still can make sense, but but we have to like, I want to ground it in like, there's a person sitting next to me, right? This is not like the algorithm didn't make this up. Like completely, there's a person. So Kendra as a little girl, do you identify as a woman?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool. Kendra's a little girl. You are what kind of kid? What kind of like shit is happening to you that's making Kendra, who's sitting right next to me?
Totally. I'm moving a lot. My parents are divorced. I'm being raised by a white mother, as like a little chubby black girl. And also like I'm very rapidly entering the trauma response of overachieving. So like, I mean, I was just naturally like pretty intelligent, but also I was really motivated. I was kind of an old soul. I gravitated more towards adults than my peers.
Okay.
And that's where I found comfort. So I often sought solace in my teachers and mentors, things of that nature.
You're achieving for what? Is this to make your mom love you, to make your dad love you, to
Both,
make some
all of it. And also I think to find like personal purpose. Like I feel like even when I was younger, like I would wake up. There's this scene in Euphoria where not Maddie, but the other one, the blonde one. Sydney Sweeney's character. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Anyway.
The slightly pornographic character.
That's exactly the pornographic one. Where she is getting ready because she wants Nate to love her. And so she's trying to make herself into Maddie, basically. But she's like sobbing while she's like putting herself together. I remember having those experiences as like a 10, 12-year-old, except it wasn't for a man or like for romantic reasons. I felt like I had to figure out what put together meant so that the world would accept me or so that I could be myself without knowing that self.
And you're a little chubby black girl, as you said it. And I'm going to do this with you because I know you.
Completely.
Where we're going to like,
yeah,
right. With other people, I'm like,
wah, wah, wah.
But so chubby and fat, are those two different things, or is one a subset of another thing?
I think those are interchangeable. I think chubby is just a cute way to say fat.
Yeah,
but
cute.
Fat is the same term for me. It has the same connotation.
And you are of the opinion that people should be comfortable just saying fat. Like fat is just it's a type of person, just like, I don't know.
Thin is.
Skinny is a type of person. Right. Okay.
Exactly right. Totally.
So I'm sure we'll walk back through that in some regard, but you're this little girl, you're doing the things to make the outside think you're good.
That's exactly right. The outside think I'm good. I think also like I had a very early codependent relationship with my mother. And because I had been deemed by other people as an old soul or somebody of wisdom, like that's how the world treated me. Like I feel like I was never really treated with the tenderness and like softness of a child. I was just expected to be an adult. And namely by my mother. So I kind of had this experience of like being her therapist and having to show up. And that was when I became really programmed to this idea of like, I need to show up a certain kind of way if I'm going to get attention.
Right.
Like I have to be put together. I have to like own I am X, Y, and Z at like 7 years old.
And you identify today as biracial, and do you identify as black?
Yes, biracial, black.
And do you identify as white as well?
No.
Okay, good. I mean,
No.
You kind of got to ask, but I don't know.
Totally. I think biracial kind of like gives that. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But like, no, I always say like I'm a biracial black woman.
And I say that to say, you said it already, but like, so there's a white woman who is raising a black girl.
Right.
Which.
Two of them and a son.
Yeah. Which as I know it, that's a fraught circumstance. You know what I mean? People are people. Everybody tries their best, but like that is a fraught circumstance. So can you let me in a little bit on like, what is it like to grow up with a white woman and that person is your mom?
Completely. I think any old white woman, right? You're gonna have the same kind of like set of circumstances of at one point idolizing that white woman because of her access to desirability, to love, to affection, to grace in a public space.
You saw that as a baby.
Oh yeah, I was like, especially because my mom is also very hot. Like she looks like Courtney Cox. She
I saw your mom.
Is very vain.
I met your mom.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you did. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You met my mom. She's like very like hip. You know what I'm saying? Like she's catching a vibe always, and like people loved her. But I didn't understand that people loved her because of things that I would never have.
Ah, you thought you could get that shit.
I thought I could have that shit.
Like,
and that was really jarring for me as well, because a part of that is because my mom was also like really conscientious. She was super conscious, and also I felt self-conscious about the fact that she was a white woman and that she had to make a black household. Mostly because my dad was not there. So she, like, all of the art in our house, we had classic black art. Like, I will show my roommate is a black woman from Atlanta, born and raised in Atlanta. I will show her pictures of my house. She's like, bitch, that looks like a nigga's house. She's like, that looks like a black family home. Right. And my mom did that intentionally. Like, all of our coffee table books were of black folks, like of black heroes, of black history.
Yes.
All of our artwork. We had a black angel on our Christmas tree.
Right.
Like, that was by intention, because she wanted to be clear, like, I am a white woman in a black home. You're not a black child in a white person's home. And that was, like, looking back, I mean, I felt this way then, but I really feel it now. I'm like, that is a beautiful thing, because I didn't feel alien in that way necessarily. And at the same time, my mom was very idealistic and romantic about how she viewed the world, because she was a cycle breaker in her own right. Left home at like 17 years old, decided to distance herself from her family at like 18 in order to marry my black father. Right. And she moved away. She was one of the only family members to move out of Wisconsin. And like,
she's from a white place.
Yeah, a very white place. Like,
your daddy's from there too?
No, my dad is from Chicago.
Okay, a black place.
Exactly, a black place. That's exactly right. And he himself really struggled with identity issues, which is why he has very openly communicated this to me at this time in my life when we're really rebuilding our relationship, or building a relationship. Yes. He said, like, you know, I struggle with self-hate. Like, I felt like, you know, if I got the athletic scholarship and went to the white school and had the white things and went to the white places, that like people would love me. And he really struggled with that pretty much his entire life.
Meaning specifically white people would love me, or just people would love me?
But you know what? I think that he suffered from that syndrome of like thinking that people equals white people.
Yeah.
Because of his environment, and also my grandmother, who was kind of a surrogate parent to me. And we spent our summers there, me and my siblings, and I loved her so dearly. She kind of did, you know, the single black mom thing as well, where she associated her sense of achievement and being a good mother with moving her kid to the white suburb. You know, moving her kid to the greatest opportunity that he could have to like get a scholarship, and to, you know, kind of rise in the ranks of society and supersede their socioeconomic class, which was to be in a white space.
Yeah.
And so my dad really inherited that, and then also was just like a very, very dark, like blue black man, and like a big guy, a lot of energy. And he knew that if he wasn't like this ambivalent nigga, like people would fear him.
Right.
And it's so interesting because very recently he and I have started to, as I mentioned, actually develop a relationship, I would say within the context of the last 3 years. Because like in his 60s, like he went back to school, like got a degree, is in college, like, is
Still
in therapy.
Growing.
Yeah, he is. And it's so beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, we're kind of in this like what I call like a sister spiritual experience, where I feel like I'm learning a lot of the lessons that he's learning at the same time, which is why I've really started to like lean in and give the relationship a chance, is because I feel like there is so much parallel learning. But one of those experiences is definitely hearing him talk about this childhood and this early teenage life that I didn't know about because I didn't have a relationship with him. And realizing that we have had one and the same experience. Like a lot of our experiences have been the same.
At what point in your life did you... And now I'm reflecting on, when did I hit this wall? At what point in your life did you hit the realization that there was nothing you could do to yourself? There was no way you could change or mold or adapt yourself to make white people, I don't even know if the real word is love, but to make them accept you. Yeah. Yes.
I mean, I think it happened in a few ways. Like I always say, I think the most jarring experience for me, early life, like I had an early life crisis at like 18, 19.
Okay.
Because I didn't get into Stanford, and it was the only school I didn't get into, and it was the only school that I wanted to get into. And again, that was after me having this very type A, like I have to be perfect childhood.
Right.
Everything that I had done up until 18 years old was because I wanted to go to law school. I wanted to become the first black female president of the United States. That was it for me. And I wanted those things because I wanted the power to affect change in people's lives and to make people feel belonging and connectedness. I didn't understand that at the time. I thought I just wanted the power to change my own circumstance and hope that other people would benefit from that. So like when that didn't happen, I kind of had this like crack in my brain, which was like, there are some things that I will never be able to work for. because Stanford is in itself, like, it had a 4% acceptance rate. It wasn't like I didn't get in because I didn't work the hardest. It was because the other kids, like, had like, they had already started nonprofits because they came from millionaire families at 18.
They were
Do you
on
know
the
what I'm saying?
luge that led them to Stanford.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Right, yeah.
You know?
Thought you could work yourself in.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly right. And so that was kind of the first crack. And then I went to UT, which I mentioned. Spiritually, I felt connected.
Yeah.
I was like, Austin, I'm Austin. Sounds like it's, you know what I'm saying? It's, again, singing my name.
Right.
So let's go. And I did need to be there, but for like a great crumble, not for this like amazing pinnacle experience where I would feel belonging. But that's what I thought it was.
A great crumble, meaning like you needed to be broken down.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that the fallacy of acceptance, or like the belief that I could have acceptance and also find belonging, was something that I needed to face. And for the first time in my life, I was like in the South. And I was in a place where people were going to be assessing my value based on what zip code I lived in. And like, even like the Black folks there, like Southern Black mentality, like that Jack and Jill environment, that like Black excellence environment, there too, I was not accepted because I was biracial and I wasn't from the South and I didn't have AKA legacy. Like, I didn't have those things.
Right.
So, and like, quite frankly, like, I also don't feel like I worked my way into belonging in those spaces. Like, I think there's also kind of like there is like a level of safety that you have to show up for as somebody who has the privilege that I have of being biracial and being phenotypically different from the Black women that were around me. That's something that you have to earn. So yeah, I also didn't have that. And then on top of that, it's just a bunch of racist good old boy nonsense going on. Like, I was watching hate crimes every weekend.
Wow.
Like, I'm talking like
at
literally,
the school.
Yeah, at school.
Shit.
I was watching bleach balloons being tossed on Black students. I was watching immigration parties where people were dressing up as immigration officers and as Mexicans, and people were chasing each other. Like, that was happening every single weekend at the University of Texas. And again, I was raised by this very romantic view of what the world was by this white woman who was like, I want to do the best I can with what I got. And I need to let you know that you're loved. And that's all that's important to me.
What did you look like? What did you look like then? Did you look like who I'm looking at right now?
No.
Okay.
No.
So what did you look like?
I was also like, so when I went to school, I was like over 300 pounds. I was like a really, really big girl. And a lot of that was also a result of like entering this very depressive episode at the end of my high school experience because of like literal loss. Like, my grandmother passed away, my youngest uncle had passed away, my mom kind of stepped into this like deep like emotional break that she couldn't acknowledge, and at a time when I really, really needed a parent. I would have never said prior to that I needed a parent, which is also sad in itself.
Right.
But at that moment, it was like I needed a parent, and my mom could not be there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I like went to school. I was like really heavy. I was really definitely like kind of entering, I would say, was a tumultuous relationship with alcohol. And I was also like definitely serving crystal bitch. Like, I was like very into the like classic, like had turquoise on every finger. I was like really like in that zone. I was wearing like tie-dye print clothes. Like, I definitely had that like other, like, I'm trying to serve hippie. I'm trying to serve one love.
Was that just, were you seeking some sort of identity? Like, did you want people to be able to classify you? Were you trying to keep certain people out and bring other people in? Like, or did you just like that shit?
I just like that shit. Yeah. I was also like, you know, kind of raised that way. Like, I definitely was raised in like quite a like open, like no censorship household. And my mom was kind of an OG crystal bitch as well. She was like a non-religious, very spiritual woman. And so I adopted that. Like, I knew the kind of all the spiritual languages. Like, I understood tarot and I understood astrology and I understood all these things very early. But in the way that like teenagers do, in that it was from an ego place, not a self. Right. So I feel like that was like my earliest shield. And I was definitely trying to discourage other people from acknowledging my existence or speaking on it, and also encourage other people to come into my direction. But I don't think that I was prepared for the repellent.
The repellent, what's that?
Like, I wasn't prepared for the fact that would repel people. Like, as much as that's what I wanted, like, I wanted the like good old boy Texan white dudes to want nothing to do with me and stay away from me.
Other people were scared off too.
Well, I think that I was still not prepared for the fact that people would be repelled by my existence, because I still emotionally wanted acceptance, but I think physically was making decisions to create belonging.
Okay.
Where people who would do harm to me would not want to be around me.
Okay.
Right? I was like creating a shield that I wasn't prepared for the consequences of that.
Okay.
Which I think happens a lot. Like you create this like ego identity, this like echo chamber of I'm only going to be around people who feel and think the same ways as I do. And I want to feel like I'm creating friction in people who deserve it. Like I want to create friction in a place like Austin, Texas, where it's mostly homogenous in energy. Like everybody there thinks that they are the most like liberal allyship bitch in the world, but like they're never actually around people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
It's
saying?
like
The people that they're
Francisco.
protecting. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. It's very Bay.
Right.
That's exactly right. And so, yeah, I just feel like I wasn't prepared for what that friction would make me feel like. I wasn't prepared for the rejection that comes with repelling the other that I don't want to be around.
Okay, we're gonna put a pin in that for 2 seconds. I'm gonna play some music. My legs are cold. I'm gonna put pants on.
Period.
And then when we come right back, I want to hear about the consequences of that sort of feeling of repellent. Also, in the meantime, click the heart at Chad Sand on Instagram. Kendra, who are you on Instagram?
At Kendramorous on all platforms. KENDRAMOROUS.
And we're gonna play some music. We'll be right back. Okay, Miss Kendra. So where we're going is I want to talk about radical self-acceptance.
Yeah.
I want to talk about also, by the way, if any of this is stuff you don't want to talk about, because my least favorite thing is going to an interview and being asked about shit that I don't feel like talking
Totally.
about.
I'm especially when it comes to personal stuff, I'm an open book entirely.
Okay. I want to talk about fat.
Yeah.
From a lot of different points of view.
Let's get into it.
Including that I think, and this doesn't need to be like the core point of conversation on it, but I think a lot of men underestimate and undercommunicate how insecure they are about their bodies.
Yeah, let's get into that.
Let's talk about it, okay?
Yeah.
So first of all right, radical self-acceptance, that is something that you are a proponent of.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole thing.
What does it mean? Can you define it in a way that I would like to have more of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you do that?
For me, there is a ritualistic return back to belonging in ourselves, spiritually, energetically, physically, that is required every single day in a capitalistic, like, consumer, like, you know what I'm saying, in the world that we live in a capitalistic state. Like, we have to do that. And that's because we're constantly being sold an image unlike ourselves, that encourages us to run away, right? To run away in order to find love with somebody who does not do us right, to find a career in a space that doesn't do us right, to find even just like a daily practice that doesn't feel good. Like I grew up really detached from my body, which is why my body was kind of the entrance into radical self-acceptance. I would say like it was the absolute tip of the iceberg. But I've definitely kind of, I think, gone through this very visible and intentionally visible. I wanted to take the audience that's known me from when I ran an anonymous Tumblr that was anti-fat, explicitly extreme weight loss at 19 years old. Some of those people still follow me today, right? So they've watched this journey from being like anti-fat entirely, very intentionally trying to lose weight, communicating a lot of like pro-anorexic rhetoric.
Wow.
To then becoming a body positive, pro-fat blogger on Instagram.
Right.
And now like I've kind of moved beyond the body. Right? Like that's a huge part of messaging is like we're moving beyond the body. Exactly. But the body was the entrance for me because it was the first break in between my sense of self and being present in self. Like I, like so many women, and then you add being black on top of that, and also being visibly fat from birth on top of that. Like I was taught my entire life that who I was not appropriate.
Right.
And would create offense in any environment that I was in. Whether I was in a store, I was at school, I was in a relationship, my body would create offense. And so it also pulled me in an emotional space away from my body because I stopped listening to cues. I didn't know when I was hungry. I didn't believe when I was hungry. I didn't want to believe when I was hungry.
Because you thought that those signals were telling you a lie that was making your life worse.
That's exactly right. Was making my existence much more challenging. And so like when you turn that off, you also just turn off your needs entirely. And then if you mesh that with the personal experience I was describing earlier of already turning off my needs because I didn't feel like there was space for them in my household, I was entirely detached from the idea that I was allowed to ask for what I needed and that I should be even looking for it.
Because you were also in your household even as a Black woman baby, otherwise known as a Black girl,
period.
living with a white woman, like you were the caregiver.
Totally, exactly. Like very much mammified.
You were the emotional threshold. You were the emotional.
Absolutely.
Even when I came, like I didn't mean to do this to you, and I'm sorry, but like last 2 times I've seen you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ! The last time I saw you was at the thing outside on the street with the people. What do we call that? A festival?
The block party.
With the fucking people.
Niggas don't be outside.
Like, right.
Niggas don't be outside. He said. So when people are together, what would you call that?
So
a party.
We were there.
A party.
Yeah, and you're like, "How are you doing? How was your weekend?" And I'm like, and I dropped some damn crazy shit that had happened, right? And you were kind of consoling me a little bit. And then just now I saw you, and like, and I didn't. I don't need to do the part that's like I didn't mean to do it, but like.
Well, you also did it, and I asked because I had the capacity.
Right.
And that's something that I'm learning how to do is only asking when I actually have the capacity. I think that my silence is like really loud for people, which is a good thing. I didn't realize that's one of my greatest gifts is like actually being silent for me is like such a powerful tool because people expect me to have the words.
And what do you use it for? Whatever you want?
For boundaries. I use silence for boundaries.
Like, don't throw your shit on me right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's facts. Like, because you know that if I had it, I would give it to you.
Yeah.
And that's a trusted relationship that I build with like almost everybody I know.
And, okay, I have to put a little sign on this tree so we don't forget to come back to this place in the woods. But I have something, it's like, people feel like they know you.
Yeah.
That's what I observe in strangers who come up to you. I'm like, they think they feel like they know her. When I talked to my cousin about you, we were trying to like, I always think there's like some person underneath the person that they're not giving me, and I'm always looking for it. I'm like, where they at?
Tell.
Where they at?
You know what? I can tell that literally since I met you. I could tell. You look at me like, what is happening? What is happening? I love it though.
Well, and to be frank, like at this point, 2 years of knowing you, like I haven't, and I said this to my cousin. I was like, sometimes I felt this way about what's this nigga's name? I like this guy a lot. Went to Temple, Black guy. He's on like Ellen. Do you know this dude? Gay dude.
Ellen.
What's this guy's name? Fuck. Whatever. I can't remember his name right now. Nice guy. Great guy.
Totally.
But anyway, I'm always looking for the person underneath the person.
Yeah.
And with you, haven't found anybody different.
Right.
And my cousin, who has a parasocial relationship with you, hasn't found nobody different. The people who come up to you and say they love you, I keep seeing something that feels pure.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate that. That's like very intentional for me.
And does it feel, with it being intentional, do you still get to feel free within it?
Yeah. I think that like I do. There is like, of course, a necessary burden of being able to delineate performance from self.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that like what I do is to some extent a performance. There has to be a mask. There has to be something that is also sacred and just mine and for my people.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that like my energy is absolutely pure, and that's because I do a lot of purifying. That's what I spend my time doing. Like,
how do you do that?
That is all of my little rituals and tasks. Like I think namely like my spiritual practice, it's like I do a lot of spell work. I do a lot of journaling. I do a lot of shadow work. Of course, I have a therapist. Shouts out to Pam. Like the unsung heroes of our journey are our therapists, right? I have an incredible community that holds me accountable to who I say I am, and then also allows me the space to question if that person is really serving me right now in the same breath. Mm-hmm. And those are, I think those are like the main tenets for me. I also like am a seeker and like a fierce learner and a fierce hobbyist. Like I'm always looking for another way to play and discover and to hear a different way of life that may be more conducive to who I say I am and to who I want to be. And those are all purifying tasks that like create a lot of friction in me that I think allow space for other people to feel less friction.
When these people, strangers especially,
Yeah.
but also people in your community, people, acquaintances, like, I think part of what you're probably seeing from me is there's definitely like, I'm like trying to find, we're going to play a game called Alien Robot Human, and I'm trying to find which one's in there.
Right.
But I'm also like, I see you, you know what I'm saying? I see you, but I'm not going to try to get over on you. And I want you to know that. So I'm also, there's like, I'm giving you a little bit of glass that's like, I hope you don't think I'm going to try to take from you. You know what I mean? Because that's what I'm always on guard with strangers. The first time I met you, you know what I mean? I was like, I was glammed. I was definitely like, oh wow, what a nice person. She's saying nice things, all these other things. And then later on I go home and I'm thinking like, you know, I get in my little like, I'm like, oh, is she trying to take something from me?
Right.
You know? But I don't see that from you I don't see very much guard up from you.
No, I don't feel like, you know, I think that in the context of purifying, I'm trying to make my energy so obvious that what I do not allow simply does not exist.
Yeah, it doesn't get to
me,
you.
That's exactly right. Like, I am tired of feeling like I need to be in defense and create a boundary that's about other people, because that's not a boundary, that's a wall. My boundaries are, this is who I am, and I don't need to like scream at you or create a cold shoulder, do any of those things in order to maintain that.
Right.
Like, in order to be clear that you don't get to have that. And does that mean that like there are certainly, I literally have recently heard even like maybe 2 or 3 stories in the last year of somebody implying to another person behind my back that I like, they feel like they can't get to me. And it's like, well, that's because I've identified that you're not my people.
Get to you,
like,
how? Like
like
reach
they,
you?
they
like...
want more, right? Like they want a close, intimate relationship.
Right. They want you
and
to
I'm
fight
like, yeah,
with
of
them.
course you do. Like, of course you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do acknowledge that. I'm like, yeah, I would want a relationship with me too.
Yes.
And I do. I have so many mirrors and so many people in my life who are just as amazing, if not more amazing than I am. Like, I always say, like, I want to be in a room full of sons. We're all sons. And there's enough space, you know?
Yeah.
So like,
oh, you mean son, like sunlight?
Son.
I thought you meant
not
like
my
all
sons.
these bitches are my sons.
No. You know what? Thank you for clarifying. Son with the U, friends. Son with the U. But yeah, it's like I want as many illuminating forces as possible in my life, and I don't fear that. And also like, that's just what I want to be around. I don't want to be around somebody who's like claiming the energy. I want to be around somebody who's amplifying and making that, you know, that precious space.
Right.
So yeah, like there are definitely people who feel like slighted by not being able to have access to me. That's not my problem.
Their problem.
Yeah, exactly.
That's totally a fact. Okay. I forgot what the marking was that I put on the tree, but it was, okay. We're going to talk about fat stuff.
Yeah,
if you don't
let's
mind.
do it.
Okay.
Completely. Well, we were talking about the relationship with my body.
Yes.
And I was saying that was the first context in which I was able to enter this like great repair, the opposite of the great crumble, the great repair.
Gotcha.
Of being like, I'm actually deserving of this. Like, to me, that was almost like a pragmatic choice. I was like, wait, first of all, I am and have always been metal as fuck, in that like the second that I find out that there is just some guy behind pretending to be the wizard telling me like what I am, who I am, and like benefiting from it.
Yes.
Now I'm ready to fuck shit up.
That's anarchy.
And the second that I heard, like in my young adult life, that there were literally billions of dollars being made at the expense of my well-being and the way that I feel about myself. And the fact that that was like an actual systemic issue, like diet culture is a systemic issue. Anti-fatness is a systemic issue. I was done. I was done. I was like, I need to solve it here first, because I want to go and be able to tell people about themselves and also help other people mend this relationship. Like, I know how to do that. I can figure out how to do that. So
that's important. Can I really quick highlight, because this is highlighter on what you're saying, because again, like, one reason why I approached you first with cynicism is because other people who I have met who reminded me of what energy I was getting from you, there was something nasty underneath it all. And I found it. And then when I found it, I ran the other way. But I really purely do not see that in you at all. And, but I think it's important that a part of what I found in those people was like all their stuff, like all of their preachings and all of their parables and shit were built on like air burgers. They were built on like gas.
Exactly.
They were built on bullshit. Right.
Yeah. And that's why they're doing it to you.
And there was no foundational like there was no like foundational intellectual property underneath all of it. But what you're telling me, like that I can like connect with. It's like you found out somebody else was making money by making you hate yourself. And you were like, fuck that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And like I also knew the faces of those people, right? Like they're just old, rich white men. And I'm just like, bitches, like we need to get on our Zoom. You know what I'm saying? We need to get in line because these people have the power to change all of our lives simply because they're committing zero mental or emotional energy about what they look like. And that's not to say, like, obviously, like, I'm a model. It's not that I don't uphold beauty politics or that I don't love beauty or that I don't pray at the altar of beauty in my own ways. I'll never, like, two things can exist at once, right? That's kind of part of my duality. But as far as like whether or not I'm weighing somebody's personal value based on beauty, and we're all doing that and practicing that and behaving in that way, like it was donezo for me. And I feel like that really started with, again, that personal relationship. I was like, I need to mend my relationship with food. And a lot of that was also about like reinstating joy in my life. Like my childhood had been robbed from me because of diet culture. And if there's one thing that I hate more than like, I think hopelessness, it is feeling like time has been lost that I cannot get back. And that was really devastating for me. Like thinking about how much, like, I didn't go to my senior prom, like, because I wasn't asked because I was fat. Like I didn't go, and I planned it.
Wow.
I planned that prom.
Oh my God. What?
And I planned it. And I like spent every single dance before that dreading the fact that I would have a hard time finding a dress, or that it wouldn't be the dress that would make me feel the most beautiful. And that I went there to be conscious of my body dancing. And like even just like being a young child, like feeling uncomfortable with physical play because I knew that it would draw attention to my body. And like dieting as like a 7-year-old, being on diet pills in my class as like an 8-year-old, like those are things that should not be happening to children. And I just wanted to reclaim my time. Like I feel like I'm doing that now. Like so much of my life is about childlike joy and play. And that's at least what I'm trying to extend, or what I'm trying to omit, is like this energy. And it's because I'm doing that. I am practicing that on purpose.
It's working. How do you do that? Like, okay, I think that some people would say, fuck those people. I don't even care what they'd say. Here's what I would say.
Yeah.
How do you do that and make a living?
Yeah.
How you do that? I actually think those two things are like just like this. Like,
right.
If you play really good, you'll get money. But how do you look at it?
Yeah. I look at it as transmutation. Like, you know, to go back to the beginning of this conversation, like I'm an alchemist. Like I'm creating what I've never seen before with energy that I know already exists. So like I recognize that there was so much self-hate. If we just simply reconfigure that, put a little bow on it, put it somewhere else, now it's self-acceptance. It's not like I'm generating new energy. Like we're all committing so much energy to think about who we are in the direction of self-consciousness, right? And like being so concerned about who's thinking what about us and how it's dictating our sense of belonging and all these things. And in reality, it's like if we just merely push that energy and thought about self in a way that feels genuine and pure and is about connection, about forming ourselves to be somebody to connect with. And also just like when I say that, I don't mean trying to create something that other people will love, creating something that you will love.
Right.
And allowing that to be a channeled energy, right? An embodiment of like a real pure source.
Yeah. Think of yourself as the first user, as like a tech pro would say.
Totally, completely. And just like I think like as this like really, really pure well, you know what I'm saying? It's like there's so much to grow from that. Like,
how while being creative, you're so creative. Like I'll just grab one thing that is like, it's an easy one, but it's a fun one. It's like when you made that video with all your friends being teachers at Tim's hot sauce thing, like at his commercial shoot, right?
Yeah. That's still my most watched and liked video of all time.
Which is, how can somebody like find it? Or just go to your TikTok and
just go to my TikTok. It'll be there.
It's like millions of views at this point.
I think like over 8 million views.
And it's like part of why it's a film. And part of
Yeah.
why it's a great film is because it's like, nobody breaks the bit. It's honest.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fun and it's honest. And
Totally.
you can see everyone who's participating is actually having a good time.
Right.
And
We're
so,
delighted.
yeah. So we
Yeah.
have to have a good time watching
Yeah.
it. Yes. So
Totally.
how do you keep your shit? How do you keep your creative? I see how you keep
Yeah.
yourself pure. How do you keep
Totally.
your creative babies pure?
Right. Oh my gosh. I love that. I mean, I think mostly like I have been also kind of working through this challenge of not forcing myself to talk about what I'm not on the internet. And every once in a while, like I'll tell people about themselves. Like I have posted about the fact that it's like, I don't want to be your like body positive image for forever. Like just because I exist in a bigger body. I'm a person. I'm on an energetic journey. I want to share things with you that have nothing to do with my body because that's what I'm capable of.
Oh, yeah.
And that's my greater message.
Right.
And if you're not here for that, I'm sorry for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You want to be here for that.
You want to get off whatever's on your heart.
That's exactly it. And so like I try not to speak consistently to like other people's limitations of how they view me. And at the same time, like I feel like it's necessary for reasons that are beyond me. Like I want to be clear, I'm not just talking about myself. Like anybody that I think namely like other Black queer creators, fat creators, all people of intentionally marginalized identities on the internet are placed into this box of like, now you have to speak about this.
Right.
And we're not just like a jumbled up mess of identities. Like we're people.
Right.
You know, and that's not to say that those identities are not a part of that personhood or that we
Yes.
shouldn't feel like if you have a platform, you need to speak on that because we're still in this hotbed of like anti-trans laws, like anti-Black, like anti-Blackness. Like we'll all to some extent die of anti-Blackness if you are Black, right? Like those things are very real.
Yeah.
And so like you can't just not speak of them, but it's not the whole story. It's never going to be the whole story. So I think that I spend a lot of time trying to communicate that subliminally by simply just having fun. Like I recently, a few weeks back, my roommate and I hosted a Steve Harvey party.
Yeah.
And everybody, we had 45 people in our house dressed as Steve Harvey.
Yes.
Steve Harvey saw it, posted on all of his platforms. It was a vibe. And now there are people in Brooklyn that legitimately only know me based on the fact that I threw this Steve Harvey party.
That's fire. And that's so funny because for the game we're going to play, I asked people for like random celebrity names. And one of the ones that they threw in was Steve Harvey. Also, like, Steve Harvey's on our minds. Like,
right.
He's
yeah,
everywhere.
Of course, he's a
a
style
fucking
god.
judge now.
He's a style god. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so really quickly, I think unless there's anything you want to say as a button on anything that we just talked about, if there's any like last thought that's swirling around, shoot it off. Because then we're gonna play a little music. We're gonna come back and we're gonna play a game. I have you for another hour. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. The rest of this is going to be more like we're gonna flow through like some games. We're gonna talk some pop culture shit. Like we're just gonna talk our shit and have some fun. Is there anything else you want to say about anything?
No, I feel great.
About any of that stuff? Okay. Is there anything else I want to know? Actually, I do want to say this. I do want to say this because it's funny. Most of my friends are guys. Most of my audience is women by a lot.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? That disappoints me. That disappoints me because men need to hear you. But that is...
Niggas are haters.
They are.
And you know that.
You know what? And I know it's because you're soft.
Yeah.
You're a soft man. And when I say that, I don't mean so. I don't
No,
mean soft.
I know what you mean.
But you know what I'm saying? Like you are so tender and you're getting to the nitty gritty and you're trying to like find your way into the heart space. And it's just not something that men think is about them. But it's not that they don't feel it when they access it. They're just fearful. They're fearful of accessing it.
They're fearful. And I think they don't trust it because I think they still see there's a dude there who could be using this as a ploy to get over on me.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and it's like, they're also in their place of survival. Like, you mentioned this earlier, even in context of like what I do, where it's like that hits for a certain kind of person, right? And that's a privileged person. That's a person that like has removed themselves. They're not in the hood.
Yeah.
They're not, like they're not in a place of like socioeconomic survival. Like they're not in these positions. And so it's easy for us to be able to talk about the woo-woo of it all.
Yeah. I don't
which
have
I
to
think
fight
is
all the
unfair.
time. Right.
Totally.
Unless
Which I think is
I do.
unfair.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you do.
Unless it gets crazy and then I have to fight. But
totally.
Yeah. So why I brought it up is because I just want to say there's no question, but please just like
humor you.
Please just like chime in and help me make sense of it, which is when we think about like body positivity, when we think about body stuff, I would say reasonably so, we bucket it as a largely female issue.
Yeah.
Because of the way
just
companies
marketing.
and society and men do harm to women by using their bodies as like tools to make a value for themselves. And I just want to also say, dudes are really insecure we're really insecure about our bodies.
Totally.
And always measuring them against other bodies. I can't think of a day that I don't think of the fact that I'm short. I can't think of a day that I don't literally look at myself in the mirror and like look at like what's my midsection doing right now?
Yeah, you're Frankenstein. You're like, if I made this better and this better, I would be perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I eat this thing, how's it? And like, and I think for people,
men are excluded from that conversation entirely.
And I think, and like, I'm definitely not doing the thing with, I'm not doing like a, men lives matter.
No, but I
thing.
think it's important for the same reasons though, right? Like we still have not pushed past, this isn't an us versus them conversation. All systems of oppression are harmful to everybody.
Right.
That is the issue, right? Like the oppressor is in many ways, or in their own way, harming themselves first and then therefore inflicting, like forcing everybody else to pay the price for it.
Yes, and I think a lot of guys feel insecure about their bodies and then project that onto a woman. Like, I think I don't look right, so I need her to look better so I can look better.
Literally, I was just talking about this with one of my friends. He was saying that he's recently been training like a mutual kind of acquaintance of ours in the gym. And he was saying, it's interesting. He was like, he has a lot of body dysmorphia. He's like, I haven't been around a nigga like this in a while. It's like, he's really focused on it because he was a former fat kid. And I'm like, that's so interesting because I'm a former fat kid and a current fat woman. And the way this person specifically the person in question treats women like garbage.
Oof. Yeah.
Like they are disposable, right? And I was like, this is the difference. Is like every woman I know has had their body be the center stage for shame. Right? Be at the center stage for every version of shame that they felt, whether it's their connection to their mother, with their friends, with their sister, with their partners. And the way that they make, the only person they're making pay the price for that really is themselves.
Right.
But like, I feel like, again, men have no choice but to like externalize that pain.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're taught to do. Yeah. Is like, you should just place this on a woman. You should just place that shit on a woman.
Right.
Know?
If she looks better, then no one's going to notice that, nigga, you look bad. Or if you have more money, then nobody's going to notice that you, but it's like, it's really just, whatever it is, it's how I feel every day.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, what do I feel is going on? And I honestly, if I just sit and do nothing, I feel good. I'm healthy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
I'm straight, but
totally. When like I always say like the body is just a vessel for your life's purpose. And it's like, I have felt this experience where I really, really was able to take a back seat on being super body conscious when I just got a fucking life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
I got shit to do.
Exactly.
Can my body get me there?
Life. Yeah, exactly. Like I'm like, so now I like literally need to like listen to my receptors. Like I need to know when I'm hungry. I need to know when it's time to rest. I need to know these things. Otherwise I won't have the well-oiled machine to make my life work.
Right.
But I will say that at the end of the day, we still have to take time to process the pain and process rejection and process hurt. Like, and I don't think that men have again, we always come back to this, like men don't have the space for that. They don't have the space for processing or to acknowledge how hurt they were. Like to go back to the anecdote I was mentioning earlier, like with this guy, it's like, I know he hasn't thought a day about the fact that like, so there was a time where he was bullied for being fat.
Right.
And he can't think about that.
Can't accept it.
Yeah, exactly. He can't accept it. Like, and it's so much more difficult because then like masculinity, it's not just the fatness that's being challenged. Like masculinity has been challenging him.
Right.
Like he was treated like a bitch.
Yeah, and if he accepts that he was that then, he's still that today. And he can't take that shit.
No. It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch. And I appreciate you bringing it up because I do think it, particularly now, like even just in the like actual the energetic in social space online of like body positivity and radical self-acceptance, there are no men there that are really getting the attention that they deserve. And there are men who I can think of who I really feel like are expressing the same kind of self-love or like self-interest of like, I just love this part of my life and I want to share this with you. And like people do actively talk about them like they're being corny. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that is why we're kind of lost. Men get lost in the shuffle. Is like we just won't accept the fact that like there are men out here doing the work and trying to share that message, and we're just throwing them away.
Yeah, and I'm gonna let you say all this shit because I definitely don't want to be bracketed in like this is part of what you're talking about. I don't want to be bracketed in any sort of like Chad's doing a guy show. Chad's doing a show about like you get people like people hate when I bring up this show, but it's a good show with some very poor messages. Joe Budden's show, which formatting wise is what I'm trying to move into. But you get all these shows like that are always talking about how guys are left out of whatever. And I'm never going to, I don't want to be doing none of that shit.
Totally.
But what I do want to say is like, when I express like joy, interest in something that's not totally mainstream, and insecurity online, like that kind of stuff, I think some of my closest friends are now like looking at me as like soft, anti something that we stand for.
Like now you're anti nigga. Like now you're not for the men at all.
Yeah, but it's like I don't know. But then you see me in real life, like I'm with niggas all the time.
Yes.
Like I'm in the barbershop, like I'm doing nigga shit all the time. But it's like I can also get excited about bugs. Like I also think bugs are really cool, and you know what I mean.
Is absolutely precious. That is, and I would
love bugs.
I would love to hear more about that.
We can talk about it. I fucking love bugs. I love animals.
I mean, there's much to be discovered there.
Yeah,
there's much to be discovered.
There's more of them than there is of us by 100,000. Like
period.
So
talk
anyway,
shit, babe. Yeah,
I gotta play music. Kendra, stop because I need to play music. I've been trying. I need to transition.
Play the music,
but we can
roll the tracks.
Also, I hope you're gonna come back here because
I'll be back. Have me back
when is your podcast starting?
2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. Do you have some episodes already in the chamber?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so you're going to start releasing it. And remind me, I know I asked you these questions in person, but
totally.
Are you releasing it indie or through a network? Indie, right?
Indie. Yeah, it's going to be indie. It's called Eldest Daughter.
Nice.
In discovery of what makes a cycle breaker. And so we kind of tap into the various like ingredients, so to speak, experiences, identities, choices, necessary losses. That kind of all result in this idea of defining your role for yourself by yourself.
And are you going to have guests? Is it going to be?
Yes. So the first episode is just going to be me kind of like defining the context of why eldest daughter, what it means, what that trope is, how it applies to somebody who's not necessarily first in birth order nor a woman. And then I will have 8 episodes with guests who are mainly women of color.
First season of 8 episodes. Okay.
Yeah.
And did you self-produce it? Did you use it? Or do you have a team that you've been working with? How'd you make it? I'm just curious.
Yeah, self-produced.
Nice.
I grabbed some music from a homeboy of mine for intros. I recorded at WTF Media.
Okay.
So a little help there.
Fire.
Yeah.
Love it. Are there sponsors involved?
No.
Cool. I love it. Okay. Those are just curiosities. All right, music. Stop it, Kendra.
Yeah, you do it.
Stop it. You
roll the track.
Tricking me into more words. All right, when we come back, we're going to play Alien, Robot, Human.
Period.
What's your spirit giving right now? Do you want to hear something that is, what's your spirit giving? I don't even talk like that. But what do you want to hear?
Well, you do now.
I do now. You did it. You've incepted me.
That's what it is.
What's your spirit giving? Do you want to hear like some heart? You want to hear fucking Tupac, The Roots, Missy Elliott, Frank Ocean?
Missy Elliott sounds perfect.
All right. It's kind of in between everything I just said. Okay, we're back. We got Kendra Austin here. I'm actually going to read her bio right off of this box that she gave me. Kendra Austin is a writer, content creator, model, and diviner. Based in Brooklyn, New York. Bria Benjamin, that's the designer. Is an artist, designer, and illustrator based in Brooklyn, New York. So Kendra, while we were playing the music, she said, I got a gift for you. She went into a bag and she handed me this box that is about the size of an index card in terms of its like diameter.
Dimensions, yeah.
And it's like probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick. And it's a box of 53
Oracle cards.
So because I have no like foundational understanding of what oracle cards are. Can you please explain it to me?
Totally. You're who the deck is made for, by the way. That's my favorite thing about this deck. So on July 18th, I'm publishing my first anything ever. It's called The Realist Oracle. Yeah, exactly. It's so exciting. It's called The Realist Oracle, Finding Magic in the Mundane. It is 53 oracle cards, really specifically illustrated with a guidebook so that you actually can learn from straight out of my own words and heart how to use it. So oracle cards, for anybody who's not familiar, are kind of like a loose interpretation of what you might consider the tarot to be. So a tarot deck, the tarot as an institution is a study.
Okay.
It's like there is a major arcana, there's a minor arcana. The major arcana is the Fool, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, like the Star, any of these cards that you may have been familiar with. Those are a study because they are an old tradition. And I am not one for tradition. So I really like it in thinking about making a spiritual tool, which was kind of like my like little passion project. Like when I first got an agent, a literary agent, after starting my Substack, come home, you know, I then immediately had a publisher kind of come forward and be like, hey, like, are you interested in doing, you know, a self-guided journal, like something, da da da. And at the time I was really, really into collecting tarot decks, tarot and oracle decks. And I didn't understand that that was kind of like the breadcrumb. Those were kind of the breadcrumbs to this project, and just allowing space for me to, like make what I think was a relatively inaccessible language accessible. So I do find that so many of my friends who I think are really tapped into the universe and like what I would consider to be psychic and have really present psychic gifts, a lot of them don't consider themselves to be diviners or like spiritual guides or people that even practice a tarot or use crystals or do sage.
What if I have to wrap my brain around it? Like,
totally.
So the tarot is the methodology.
The tarot is like an actual deck. It's like a study. Like so the traditional Rider-Waite is what it's called. That's what most people know as the tarot. And oracle cards are like your kind of own personal kiss or loose interpretation. There are a lot of tarot decks that in themselves have a like author's interpretation that can be slightly different, but they are to imply the same major and minor arcana from centuries past.
Okay. Just time out because you're speaking a language that I don't understand.
Totally.
So what? Okay.
Like, what is it for?
What is it for?
Yeah.
Why I have not gotten myself involved in it yet is because I stay away from psychics, as an example.
Totally.
Because I enjoy my life as a story and not knowing the ending.
Yeah.
I like to not know what's on the next page. I like to find out what's on the next page. So I don't want somebody to tell me. Now, does this tell me? Or what does it tell me?
I always say nothing in the spiritual realm is really about fortune telling, because anybody who is a genuine medium or psychic or diviner or who's tapping into a higher authority, which is all of us, by the way. That's all of us.
I agree with that.
There are no spiritual specials. That is what this deck is for. I wanted to be clear. There are no spiritual specials.
What does that mean? What's a spiritual special?
Like I always say, there's nobody who's like so special. Yeah, there's nobody so special that they get the spiritual gifts. We're all spiritual beings in a physical embodiment. We all have the capacity to tap into our guides and to our masters, into the universe anytime. And we're doing that. Like if somebody who is psychic is also just simply an artist or a chef. That's their spiritual gift.
Okay.
Like, and they're tapping in something in that way. So, original question.
So how does this?
Right. So there's no fortune telling. It's not telling you the future. It's supposed to be a mirror of your current energy. If you're asking questions that are actually valuable to help you guide your free will,
yes,
which anybody who is like not a complete charlatan will tell you, this is only the energy that surrounds you right now. Anything that you do a minute from now, a second from now, a millisecond from now can change that fate entirely, and that's your choice.
Okay.
That is what we're all here for, is to make a series of choices that provide us context in our hero's journey and then start all over again.
Okay.
And that also is what the tarot is about. That's what the tarot is about, and that's what the oracle deck is about. It's about kind of providing you context for this hero's journey and the various steps and decisions that happen along the way within your free will to kind of grant you this like aha moment, this awakening that starts you back at ground zero, right?
Yeah.
And then you're back again. And that's all we're doing until the end until we're gone.
And so if I'm brand new to this, this is gonna be my last question on this for a second, and then I'm gonna get us into this game. But if I'm brand new to this, I buy this deck or someone buys it for me.
Totally.
I have this deck, but I don't have you.
Yeah.
I don't have like somebody to lead me. Like I can buy this deck and I can get going just by having this deck in my hands.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Completely. If you're seeking a deck, you're seeking your own intuition. And that's my favorite thing about divination tools is like what brings you there already is the answer. I think it's good. Like you said, like you don't go see psychics. I love that. Because to me, like as somebody who is has many friends who are psychics, I have attuned psychic abilities of my own. I have a lot of friends who I have helped attune their own psychic abilities just by sheer encouragement.
Yeah.
I can tell you don't need a psychic. Like you need yourself. And that is what all spiritual tools should remind you of, is that like the answers are already there for you. You're not trying to fortune tell. You're trying to give yourself the best possible chance at removing fear from the equation. Mm-hmm. And if you're seeking anything, whether it's like, bone throwing, like I'm talking like old, like ancient practice, like bone throwing, reading ruins, like these are all various levels of divination that aren't just cards. You're seeking just simply to tap into that feeling that you get when you see what happens. Mm-hmm. Like when I pull a spread 3 cards past, present, future, I already kind of have a feeling the second that I turn that card what it is, and to me that's the answer. It's not what you're seeing in the card.
Yeah.
It's that first like instinctual feeling of like even doom. Like I'm like, shit, if I get this card, I'm gonna be bummed. That's my answer. I don't need to even read the deck.
It's
anymore.
already here. Right. It's like already in the front of your. These are reflectors. Okay.
That's exactly it. Totally.
So where can somebody pre-order these cards?
You can pre-order at KendraAustin.com, but also if you just type in the Realist Oracle at Barnes & Noble, bookshop.org, Amazon.
Also, who made your website and how much did you pay them?
I made it.
Okay, nice. Because I need a website, but
I do have recommendations. They just weren't available when I needed to do it based on my publicist.
Okay, thank you. All right, so KendraAustin.com.
Yeah, KendraAustin.com.
I think this ties in well to a game that we're about to play.
Let's do it. Hit me.
The game is called Alien Human Robot. I think that the name of the game explains itself, but it is basically thus. A few years ago, a friend of mine said that a friend of his said people can be classified as aliens, humans, or robots. Mm-hmm. And many people are a combination of 2 of those categorizations. I think of myself as an alien human. Like, I have a lot of alien shit. Yeah, I think you are too.
Yeah.
I think you are too.
This sounds like Sun, Moon, Rising, or like when women ask each other which Sex and the City characters they are, but in context of the Sun, Moon, Rising.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So I want to play it with you, and I think a fun way to play it is I will kind of describe a person.
Okay.
See if you can guess what I'm talking about. And then I actually want you to be the classifier of alien, human, or robot. Does that feel fair? Okay. Yeah. Do you need any? I think the descriptors are pretty self-explanatory, but alien human is one of us. I think of an alien robot as somebody like Donald Glover, a little dead behind the eyes.
Totally.
But kind of.
But like high functioning. Like
extremely high functioning. The robot
is like, there's a logic. There is like a true mastery going on, but also like it doesn't feel like it's connected to us yet.
Yes. I think sometimes you can think of these people as being like plugged into a socket or something like that. Yeah. And then like a human robot would be, oh dear, like.
That would have to be like a really grounded person. Like I feel like maybe like a Jeff Bezos could even be like a human robot.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Totally. Less human, but
okay. Yeah. This first person, I'm going to try to describe them well so that you can guess them.
Okay.
But without giving any giveaways. Okay. This first, well, this is a whole family. There's one contribution was like a whole family. So this family, okay, I have been accused of looking like both of the children in this family. Do you already know who it is?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. So 2 light-skinned kids.
Yes. One's a boy, one's a girl.
Okay.
At my sister's bachelorette party, in the West Village. We went to, I'm so bad at words sometimes, a burlesque show, and one of the dancers kept calling me the daughter of this family's name over and over and over again.
Is it a fictional family?
No, it's a real family. It's a real family.
Oh my God, they were calling you Jaden Smith.
Yeah.
It's a Smith.
They were calling me, is that the girl?
No, Willow.
They were calling me Willow. They kept calling me Willow over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Okay.
You whipping your hair back and forth.
So, first question is, do you think that all the people in that family are of the same classification?
I think actually Will and the 3 kids are all the same classification.
Which is what?
I think they're all alien human.
You don't think Will's robot at all?
Oh, no. Okay, you know what? This is hard.
It is hard.
This is hard because I think that Will is the victim of a robot.
Wait, who's the robot? His wife?
Jada.
All right, get it. Come on. Sorry.
Jada.
Now I'm fucking doing the thing.
I think Jada, because she's a Virgo. I think Jada is human robot.
Okay.
Like more heavy on the human. Like to me, she feels so intrinsically human and like she's trying to show that. But there is a robot about it in that like, it's not even like fantastical. Like she is really calculated. Like she's so calculated. And there is something.
You can see her calculating in her face.
That's exactly it. Like it's really like, I would feel like I would have a really hard time connecting with her.
She doesn't want connection.
She doesn't.
Think she wants.
But she wants to be perceived in connection.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think that she's so fearful about being known, but she wants to know others so well to be like, so what do you guys do before you go to bed?
Right.
Because is that what humans do? That's what I'm
She's
seeing
studying.
here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what
She's
humans
studying
do?
the human condition. So when you guys sleep, how does that work?
All right.
Yeah, so I think that she is human robot. Will, I don't know, like...
You said he is a victim of a... Explain his victimhood to me. Like, I'm surprised for you to have that point of view.
I feel like he loves a robot so much, but he can't compute.
He can't actually connect to the robot.
Like when I say exactly, I feel like he really, really wants to connect to a robot. Honestly, Will actually might just straight up be human. I feel like I have a hard time even connecting him. He might have a little bit, you know what? No. We're going to say that he's also human robot, but I think he's way more human than he is robot. Do
you love him? My answer's in the question. Do you love him more or less after his Chris Rock incident?
More.
Me too.
Because I think before that I felt that he was a little bit more robot than I do right now.
It's like, oh shit, a person jumped out. What the fuck?
Totally. And like I feel like it kind of contextualized, like he has always been so open emotionally. Mm-hmm. Like even in his role like as Will on Fresh Prince, like he was so open emotionally in order to be able to access that character because it was him. Yeah. Right.
Corny. He would be accused of being corny.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he was being human.
Himself. Yeah, exactly. And I think like also he's, I mean, obviously such a prolific and profound actor because he can access so many different human emotions, right? But I guess like that in itself requires some like roboticism.
I think he's going to be, I think the context of an artist can't be escaped in their art. And I think we are going to see him as a better actor going forward. Yeah. Because now we know he's actually one of us.
Totally. Exactly. And we want to see him that way. And I feel like he's also, he's been working against the corny for so long. Like it feels like very Drake syndrome. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Where he started like so wholesome that it was hard for people to see him seriously. And I don't think he ever really took it personally. I feel like he just did what he does. Yeah. You know? Okay. And then the 2 kids are obviously like, they might be completely alien. They're alien.
I think they look as, to the naked eye, they look as close to what aliens are as people as we probably have on Earth. With a couple, like, the woman, Johnny Depp's daughter, who's playing the lead in this
Lily
show,
Rose
Idol,
Depp.
like, I'm like, that's a fucking alien right there. But she has I've seen a lot of human under. She just looks like one.
Yeah, exactly.
She just like looks like one.
Totally. Well, but you know, at the same time, I feel like she could be mad robot because she is so like, girl, you're not misunderstood. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, did she be talking about stuff?
Yeah, okay. She's so contrived and like. She is like a huge socialite. She's a huge Hollywood socialite, and she still thinks that we're in the era of like Lindsay Lohan showing her coochie cat to the paparazzi.
Oh, she really is the character.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like she's like that in real life.
I didn't know any of that.
And like is giving that, and it's like, girl, nobody's giving that. Like it's 2023. Like we're earnest and fun now.
She looks.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, let me go on to the next person that I have here.
I'm absolutely screaming at somebody calling you Willow Smith. That is
over
so
and over and over.
important to me.
Over and over.
Are you okay?
Yeah. It was 10 years. I
just want to check in about that.
I told you this the first time I met you. I am leaned into the bit of like looking young, looking soft. Yeah, like totally. I think it's cute. I think it's pretty.
It's adorable.
Want to do a thing with it. Like I like it. I'm into it. And that was 10 years ago. I was like 25 and I was cool then. All right. So this next person, I think, okay, I'm offended by this next person because I'm offended by this next person because we keep allowing new versions of this person to respawn, even though we always get annoyed with this person. There's a primary archetype of this person that I hold very dear, that I think is like at the pinnacle of craft and authenticity in a way that I relate to and believe in, even though we are so different, me and this person. I'm offended that people younger than me might compare this person to that other person. This person's in movies now. He is allegedly a musician.
Not alleged.
Yeah, allegedly. He very much pattern matches to Drake in his art form.
Oh.
But is an extremely like watered down mayonnaise version of that.
Drake in his art form, allegedly a musician in movies.
He's just now started to be in movies.
Is he relevant because
extremely relevant. Oh, sorry, because of what?
For what reason?
Music.
Oh, okay, but he's just not good. But he's compared to somebody who is much better than him.
He's compared to them in sort of where he stands within like culture to that person. But that person's much older. He's like 20 years older than that dude's 20 years older than this person. But
right.
And the thing is, like, I can't even give a real assessment of his art because I won't even let myself access the art. Like I said, the context of the artist matters.
Totally.
And I won't let myself go there because...
Is he a shitty person?
I don't even know. I'm so offended by the response to him that I don't even know what kind of person he is because my...
Do people like him?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so he's given a lot of credit.
I can't. That's the weird thing is like I can't tell. He's given a lot of fame. He's given a lot of clicks and buzz. I can't tell how much people. Those things are separate now. Like I don't even know.
Who's famous? Who's even famous
he's
today?
He's super famous. All right, he's white. Does that help?
Oh my God, yeah, because I'm picturing. Is it Jack Harlow?
Yes, Jack Harlow. I felt like that was just going to kill the bit.
Okay, yeah, okay, Jack Harlow. That's so funny. So you saw this nigga was in a bonnet yesterday?
I did. What do you think of that?
My brother sent me that. My brother, who was a 37-year-old man with 2 young children, sent me that, and he said he's flown too close to the sun. Jack Harlow. What do I think about him?
Yeah. And as far as it helps you to classify him as an alien,
hard.
Human,
Again,
or
like
robot.
I just want to give him human because I think that he's like, and who is he compared to?
Eminem. I know. That which is sacrilegious. He compared himself to Eminem.
Being white is not a comparison.
No, it's not enough.
It's not enough. It's not enough. You need lyricism. You need deep-seated rage.
Yeah.
You need to be an anti-hero. Like there's so many things. Like that man is so combative and hateful. And that's why we were channeling. You know what I'm saying? That's why people understood him.
Yes.
There's nothing to understand about Jack Harlow. He's saying exactly what it is, and you say yes. Like there's no metaphor.
Yo, that's rude as fuck. There's nothing to understand about this nigga.
You know what's so funny? I was just about to say that he's third dimensional, and that answers your question. Like to me, he's just 3D.
So he's just a human.
I think, yeah.
There's nothing to understand about him.
No,
damn.
No.
So what are we doing?
That's your Pisces brethren. You know
what?
Yeah, and that's why people love him. He's got that like twinkle in his eye, like he's got that innocence, and I think that that's really fair.
You think
like,
it's real? I think it's
yeah,
real.
yeah, I actually
That's
do
so
think. I think that
boring.
he's incredibly genuine. I think he's incredibly genuine. I think that like he truly, truly is just trying to do his little challenge. You know what I'm saying? And just trying to have a little career.
Just do his video game.
Yeah,
Like,
I think he's just trying to vibe. And like to me that should and could be enough, except for like he's white and he's in a black space.
yeah.
And we should give
I
a
need
lot
more.
of, yeah, and like also like I would love to see a black male version of that. Like Drake was like never really gifted innocence in his career. Like he had to be like so Scorpio about it, where he's like, I'm showing you that I'm hard, and it doesn't matter that I had a white mom or that I'm Canadian. Don't put a maple leaf on me.
What would a it's like I can't even think of what would a black version of this thing look like, because I think this thing only exists because he's white.
It does. But that's what irritates me about him. Is like I wish we could give that like his earnestness and the fact that he's trying to be like little like sweetie lover boy. Like I want us to give that to a black man. Because to me that would be so perfect. Like I would love that. Like I don't want black men to have to talk about coming out the trenches, like being in the trenches,
right,
and like getting it out the mud in order to have a sense of credibility in music. Like music should be experimental. It should be fun. It should be like niggas are going to start coming from the suburbs because we're acquiring more wealth. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's the only way we're going to survive capitalism.
Yeah.
So
and
it's
being
like,
priced out of living in the city.
Yeah, exactly. It's like pretty soon all the Kardashians are going to be black and they're going to want to be musicians. Now what are we going to say? You know what I'm saying?
That's going to be one day there will only be black Kardashians.
Yeah,
That's going to be a crazy day.
I talk about that all the time in my personal life. I'm never going to cape for the Kardashians publicly, but I do think that they're like kind of the big boss of hedonism.
I cape for them a little bit.
Yeah, but only because I think they're a reflection of us.
Yeah.
And I think it's unfair to displace our hate for ourselves and consumerism onto a family that's merely just showing up for the bag, because we want to be them. Let's talk about why. And pretty soon, we can't just say that they're going to be culture vultures, because they will be the culture. They're going to be black. The Kardashians will be black soon.
All right, let's do
Anyway, so just human for Jack Harlow. Do I need to give him something else?
No, I almost wanted to put him as a robot because he feels like AI gave him to us in a way. Like he feels
He's an industry
like
plant.
Yeah, it feels like someone just put an algorithm together and was like, all right, what do these people like? And then gave it to him. But you know what? At the same time that I say that, I also say this, which is like, there is a person under that who spent hundreds and hundreds of hours trying to be good at something.
Totally.
And I don't want to like I just don't want to be an asshole about that part of it.
No, and I have to admit something. I have watched some Jack Harlow interviews.
And he's
because of Delisa Marie Shannon.
Okay.
And then that led me down a rabbit hole of like some earlier interviews that he did on like what's that called? He's heinous. Something No Chaser. The podcaster, Something No Chaser. Anyway, he's a bad person. Don't look him up. But it's like one of those like incel podcasts. But Jack Harlow was on it like really early. And he was talking about how he actually does not like drink or do drugs. And he specifically chose that because he wants to be present with his audience
I feel that
when he performs.
I think that's respectable.
Yeah, totally. And I was like, I love that you're saying that. Again, that's I think a privilege. A privilege granted to him because of where he comes from, but I'm like, there's nothing to escape. Like you're just like a middle class white guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was like really interesting and felt very human. Like he was just like, I realized like if I did drugs or like was drunk and like went on stage, I wouldn't be able to perform because like I needed to feel people.
Yeah.
And that also felt very Piscean of him. I think you can connect with that.
I guess I'm like, I have to decide whether I accept him. Last night I was with Tim and Delisa and Julesy. We were at hookah bar watching finals, and we somehow.
Where you at, Jasmine?
We were at Erica.
Oh, okay.
And not Erica. El Mecca. I don't know why I called it Erica because I have Erica Badu written on this page. But
so that's one of the people.
We're not going to do her because
you just mentioned it.
I just said it. Yeah, but they were like. They brought up Shad Moss, Lil Bow Wow. And then one of my friends, TJ, who's probably on here a couple weeks ago, he was like, do you accept Shad Moss as a Chad? And I was like, absolutely not. Like, the nigga's name is Shad. Like, he's not a Chad. He's not a Chad. I was like, hell no. I accept Pimp C, like, of course. But I don't accept. And why did I even get into that? Oh, because I don't know if I accept him as a Pisces yet. Yeah. It's a very high bar for who I will accept.
I mean, Erykah Badu is also one.
Erykah Badu, Rihanna.
There are so many iconic Pisces.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We have a good thing going. All right,
you do.
Let's do the next person. Okay. The next person, actually, you know what? Give me 2 seconds to.
Also, I just have to say that your descriptions of these people could not be more ethereal. Like, I don't think that you realize that you're giving nothing, and somehow I'm still making it happen, and that's actually wild to me. I'm like, you're speaking my language.
That's you're great. Oh, I got a good one. All right. I'm just looking at this doc. Producer Morgan, who you texted with, is a fantastic producer. She's so dope. That's all I really wanted to say. She's so dope.
I can tell. Thank you, Morgan.
She's super fire. All right. I was like, if there's any one question that I must ask Kendra, I called her before this thing and asked her this. I was like, please highlight it so I make sure that I ask it. Oh, you already answered this one. I'll come back to those last two. All right, here's another person. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
This person, I mean, I don't know that there's any other way around this person being an alien, but I'll say this. It's a he, so there's that. He's like, for the last 20 years of my life, probably been the singular person who this is crazy, who I have looked up to the most.
Wow.
In terms of how he works, how he looks, how he considers himself. We look very different, but I've tried to take on some of.
Is he the same race?
He is the same race, yes. He's from the South.
Okay.
As he describes it, I like to think that I work how he works, but I don't think anybody can work how he works. But he is weird. He is cool. He is at the same time incredibly hood and posh. Like he looks like he gets a manicure all the time, but he also looks super disheveled sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Disheveled in like a hippie way?
Yes. His hair looked crazy and it looks like he doesn't take care of it, but to me it also looks good.
Is it Erykah Badu's soulmate?
Nah. Who would you call her soulmate? Andre 3000?
Yeah, of course.
No.
And I feel like he fits all those bills.
He does. You're right.
That's so funny.
He does.
Okay. It's a black man from the South.
Yes.
What does he do?
He raps really well and really frequently.
Really, really well and really so he's still relevant, but he's an icon.
He is still relevant, but he's not at his peak relevance. But I feel like he'll be relevant forever. He's doing interviews right now, and if he's doing an interview, people will click on it.
Oh, he's doing interviews right now.
Here's an important thing about him. He has been able to maintain his star while also fostering other people's becoming enormous stars, like all the way up to his level.
Method Man is doing a tour right now. Is it him?
No. This is like someone who I would have, I'm 35.
Yeah.
Like I would have grown up with him just enough older than me,
right,
for me to like try to walk behind him. But even though I'm coming from such a different world from his.
Disheveled from the South. Lil Wayne?
Yes.
Okay. I was like, disheveled is actually light work for what that man looks like. But
oh, shit. Yeah.
You said his hair is kind of, what do you mean? Okay, but
I'm desensitized to it.
The thing is, what you said makes a lot of sense because he does have a kind of manicured je ne sais quoi.
He's regal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like he feels esteemed.
Yeah. Like he doesn't talk over people.
You said you're modeling.
I said that I have been like, I don't know how to, like, I want to be like this nigga. I've always wanted to be like this nigga. You know what I mean? Like he's like at the same time kind of like, he's at the same time like kind of precious, but also very masculine. You know what I mean? His nigga's literally his name is Little Wayne.
Totally.
And he's like little and he's like, but he has like a big weird presence, but his presence doesn't like get on people.
Completely.
He doesn't get the other person dirty.
No, he doesn't. He feels really, he's self-contained.
He's so self-contained.
He's self-contained. He is an alien. Only an alien.
Only
for
an
sure.
alien.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like he's really, I feel like he's gracious.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he's really, really gracious, and he feels like he creates harmony in a space, which is so interesting because of the context of what he creates. But I think that that's also it, right? There's like a sense of like the reason why he's obviously been a legend in music is because he was able to communicate things that niggas hadn't heard before.
Hell yeah.
You know, and like in that way, like you're gonna get your crown just for doing that. And also then he like also allowed space for Jack Harlow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
he doesn't take up anybody else's space.
No, he's not a hater. Like, you know who else is doing that right now? And you know what? They're actually the same sign as Cardi B.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought of her in connection, but then I was like, oh, they're both Libras. But they both have this thing where I feel like they're like, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do for everybody else after me. And there's no way that what they do is going to be a distraction from who I am.
Yes.
And that's like kind of unheard of in entertainment, period. Like there is such a scarcity mentality.
Cardi B is able to have probably the best run of her own singles and features of anybody over the last, 5 years at this point?
Right.
Without, with the exception of Nicki Minaj, making anybody feel like we can't both stand here.
Right. I mean, literally, if there is a new woman on the scene, she is going to say, let's do this.
Let's get on here.
Exactly. Like,
and then she's going to body their shit.
Yeah, that's exactly right. She's like, I'm trying to put you on. Or she'll reference their music. Like, she will put them on. Like, she feels like that is of value to her.
She feels like human to me.
She's so human. She is so human. Like, I think even one thing I love about Cardi B is that she is somebody who I think people would perceive as being limited in language. But she is a seeker. She is a seeker and intellectual. And she's speaking the language for her audience.
And I when people say that, I think sometimes it just means she doesn't have your same set of vocabulary.
That's right.
But you also don't have her set of vocabulary.
That's exactly right. You could never communicate to the audience that she's communicating to.
And that's what
you don't want to.
Or even to someone else. Like, anybody who listens to Cardi B, I think knows exactly what the fuck she's trying to tell them. That's versus someone with a different vocabulary, yes. Who like, I don't know what you're trying to say because you're not just saying it. Right. You're saying around it.
Like, yeah, and you're not using language to be heard. Or like you're not using words. You're not putting together words that I can understand you. You're doing it to look smart.
You're being
or
evasive.
To sound smart.
Yeah,
exactly, on purpose. And like she will hop on live and talk about trans law, like anti-trans laws. Like she'll hop on live and talk about how there's no clean water in Flint. Like that's what she's doing. Like she is on the internet talking about real shit to people who it impacts the most.
With that, I love her for that too. We have 10 minutes left, Kendra.
Yeah.
And I need to transition to this iPad because this shit is about to die on me. So can you hear me? Yes, you can. All right, we're back. Sorry, we had technical difficulties. We tried to switch over to the iPad. My audio probably sounds a little bit different now because I'm not speaking through a mic. But we got a few more minutes here with Kendra Austin, and we didn't talk about basketball at all. And that's fine. I got 2 questions that I want to ask you, Kendra, before we get out of here.
Yes.
The first question. This is the anarchy question. You've actually spoken to this in a lot of different ways in this conversation, but if there is one thing in your life or in society, something you haven't already spoken to out loud, maybe something you haven't already spoken on out loud that's like kind of stirring around in your spirit, but like one thing that you want to completely blow up and redesign or recreate in a different way, what would it be?
I mean, to me, anarchy is about choosing self. And when I say that, I don't mean selfishness or narcissism, but believing that like your heart can guide decisions and it'll be for highest good. And that inherently will create dissonance in environments that are about complacency and about mindlessness. And allowing that to unfold the way that it needs, and also being prepared to pay the consequences and take the necessary losses for making those choices. And I think that's true in like relationship anarchy, right? Like deciding that non-hierarchical love works for you, not valuing romantic partnership over platonic relationships or the other way around. That's a great example of that. That's like not about like institution in the way of like occupation. But then, of course, like, you know, we both know this. I know, like, your partner knows this. People around us know this. Like, that's the same choice that you make in your careers. Like, we're not going to get the crazy retirement. We're not going to own homes in the same way. We're not going to have the things that were, like, promised to our parents and our foremothers and forefathers for simply falling in line. And that's actually our gift. Like, our ability, our choice now to not have to choose the like clear path or the path that we think makes the most sense, like that's being provided for us by the sheer fact that we're not guaranteed those things. So I think that, you know, choosing self is now the only option, and a lot of people are like experiencing fear, and that makes sense because it's an isolating experience. Like when you're sitting there and you're in meditation and all you can feel is like in here is your own heartbeat, and you're having these images of what your future looks like and who's there with you and what you're smelling and tasting, and you know that feels so good. And then you also know that the second that you step outside of that, you're going to feel nothing but dissonance. That's really hard. That's the only choice.
First of all, thank you. This has been fantastic. Josh said it off the mic, and I agree with him. This has been our best show. I feel like this is indeed a pivot moment, a turning point, I think, for the show, where you helped us lock in on like the tone, the conversation style, the humor, the game. I think, you know, you flowed with it well, and
So fun.
I just really appreciate you. I'm really I asked you to come on probably a week ago, and you made it happen quickly, and you didn't ask me to jump through a bunch of hoops, and I want you to know that that doesn't go underappreciated.
Oh, thank you
I'm
so
grateful
much
for that. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm grateful to be here. I knew when you offered it that was something that I would enjoy, and that felt right to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And I'm like so happy to be here. I had so much fun. And that's what we're motivated by. Fun.
I hope you will come back. Tell them one more time where to find you, and you have a few projects that are coming down the pike. So if you can, just like go ahead and plug them.
Totally, absolutely. You can find me at Kendramorous, KENDRAM as in Michael, ORUS. You can find me there on all platforms: TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. TikTok is my favorite platform these days. You can also find me at kendraaustin.substack.com. My newsletter, Come Home. And I will soon be the author of The Realist Oracle, Finding Magic in the Mundane. You can find that at all places where you would buy books. It'll be out July 18th, but a pre-order is an act of love for an author. So thank you.
That's Kendra Austin, y'all. I'm going to say one last thing here before we walk out of here. Also, Kendra, I can give you a ride wherever you're headed next. Where are you going? Are you going home?
Yeah, I'm going home.
Yeah, I'll give you a ride home.
Thank you.
Last thing I want to say here is this is from my real life. I just feel very proud and honored and in admiration of, I don't know, I'm honored to be partnered with this person, but in admiration of my fiance, Julesy, who got her book deal yesterday for Black Crossword.
Let's go.
And it was a significant one. And she had a vision for this crossword. Blackcrossword.com is where you can find it. But she had a vision for it in November. She had it out and available via mobile and via web, I believe, by January. She was getting between 10 and at one point, I think 40,000 clicks a day on that crossword puzzle within days. Questlove tweeted it out. She's gotten big love she was on Good Morning America, the New York Times, the Huffington Post. Like, she's been everywhere. And today it's June something or other, and 6 months later, she just got her first book deal yesterday. So I'm super excited about it, and I'm super proud of her. And I've just like loved watching her hustle for these last couple years since she left Rolling Stone, which was her last corporate job, and launched 2 businesses that are thriving. And I see her every day, like busting her ass, waking up early, researching excuse me, making calls, learning how to do stuff she doesn't know how to do, Googling, like promoting, marketing, just doing the whole designing, like just putting it all together, using all of her gifts. And it's really kind of magical to watch somebody do it up close. So I just want to say shout out. I saw she was on here at one point, and I really love you, and I'm really proud of you, man. And I know it's going to be a big hit, and I know that this publisher knows it's going to be a big hit because they're acting like it. So that's all I wanted to say about that. This is Nothing But Anarchy. Next week, next week, we're going to have Corday, the rapper. He's going to join us for the next show. And we're back here again on Thursday. I don't know if we're going to have a guest. Might just be me. But Thursday at 12, same time, right here. Nothing But Anarchy. Thanks, y'all. I'm going to play some music for another half hour or so, and then we're going to get out of here. Okay, bye-bye. Kendra, you can say bye. Your mic's still on.
Bye, y'all.